This is the brand new Honda Civic Type R, the FL5, the 6th generation of Honda Civic Type R, the 5th to come to the UK. And it's a little bit like Harry Potter in the fact that it's finally, fully grown up. But my question is, does it still have the magic? Is it a wizard on the road and the racetrack? And will it leave me spellbound by the end of this review? Well, we're going to find out because I'm going to talk you around the exterior, the interior. We're going to take it for a drive, and of course I'm going to launch it to see how quick it is from 0 to 60 miles an hour, because I'm Matt Watson and you're watching Car Wow. Buy, sell, Car Wow. The new Honda Civic Type R uses the same 2-litre 4-cylinder turbocharged petrol engine as its predecessor. Before you get a little bit disappointed with that, don't, because Honda's actually reworked it slightly. So it's got a new turbocharger with fewer blades, so it's more responsive. They've made the exhaust straighter for improved airflow. They've tweaked the engine management system and improved the cooling. The result is 10 whole extra horsepower. This car now has 330 horsepower. There's also 20 newton meters more torque, 420 newton meters to be precise. So what does all that mean? How quick is this car? Let's find out. So I'm going to launch it, especially to 0 to 60 in 5.4 seconds. I've got my specialist timing gear up here. Let's launch it. Oh, spinach of the wheels. It's hooked up now. Just under 5.8 seconds. It's all right. Power is nothing if you haven't got the chassis to exploit it, and that's why Honda's engineers have done a lot of work on this particular car. So the new Honda Civic platform is already stiffer than the previous generation, but they've added extra bracing to the rear subframe on the Type R. Also, the Type R is a whole 90 millimeters wider than the standard car. It also sits 8 millimeters lower to the ground, and it's got a composite tailgate and aluminium bonnet to help reduce weight. The Type R gets uprated suspension with beefier anti-roll bars, stiffer springs and adaptive dampers with 3 different settings. There's upgraded Brembo brakes, 3 50mm discs up front gripped by 4-piston calipers and 3 05mm discs at the back gripped by a single piston caliper. You also get some sporty tyres, Michelin Pilot Sport 4S's. Honda's also enhanced the steering by strengthening the components and also fitting new bearings. Plus the car uses a more aggressive geometry setup to make it a little bit more responsive. The new Honda Civic Type R weighs in at 1,429 kilos, which is 24 kilos heavier than the old FK8, so not a huge gain in weight. Plus, it's over 100 kilos lighter than the standard Civic, because obviously that's a hybrid and batteries weigh quite a lot. Now, if you haven't done so already and you're enjoying this video, make sure you subscribe to this channel and hit the bell icon to turn your notifications on. That way you won't miss an upload, and we've got some exciting videos coming very soon you won't want to miss out on. Unlike the normal Civic, which is automatic only, the Type R is manual only. It's got a short shifting 6-speed manual. The car is also front wheel drive, and it has a limited slip differential on the front axle to help the car put its power down onto the road. So then, what do all these chassis upgrades mean? Let's take this for a blast on a country road. Okay, new Civic Type R. See what you like. Whoa! First off, this engine, what they've done to it, it may only be extra 10 horsepower, but it just seems more lively. It's less laggy, it's more on it straight away. So much so, I almost launched straight into the filming car in front of me. First corner then. Oh yeah. Whoa! Feels a little bit more torque steery than the previous generation car. That one was all about just like the front end just digging into the tarmac and taking you around. This one seems a little bit more leery, though the rest of the car seems to get involved a bit more, like the whole body rotates, seems to have a little bit more turning, so the steering isn't quite as linear as the old car, but it has this element where it just gets the car just rotating into a bend. You can tell straight away it's just so very, very good. I have noticed that it's got a bit of a tendency to tramline sometimes. I think that's all part of the fact they've made this car a little bit more edgy, a little bit more bonkers. It really does combine like amazing handling of the previous generation car just with an added energy to it. Just feels completely crazy. Sometimes it does struggle for traction, but the old car did. The previous generation car steering was a bit more linear, a bit more progressive. Exactly the amount you turn the wheel gave you the right amount of steering. This one, not quite so much. Also the brakes don't feel quite as progressive as on the old car, but really everything else, just as a package, I think this thing just feels a little bit more fun, and it's still got all the good bits as well, like that really beautiful tight gear change. I've got to say, I absolutely love this car. It has that same kind of wow, crazy, nutty fun factor that my Toyota GR Yaris has. I wouldn't have considered swapping my GR Yaris for the previous generation Honda Civic Type R, because while it's quicker and definitely faster on track than my GR, it just lacked a little bit of fun compared to it, whereas this, that slightly more bonkers edge, really just does the job for me. You want the ability, but also that crazy fun factor. Honda have nailed it. F***ing love this car. F***ing love it. One of the key things with this new Honda Civic Type R is that they've designed it in such a way it's more sophisticated than the previous generation. It's less childish and showy, but it does still have various elements which make it look sporty. For instance, you have this vent in the bonnet, and it really is a vent, it's not fake. Then you have the red Honda logo and the Type R badging here in the grille. You've got a lower, deeper, more aggressive front bumper with this huge grille intake down here as well. Plus, you have vents here to help smooth airflow down the side of the car and also cool the brakes. Moving to the wheels, you get 19-inch alloy wheels as standard, but they're designed in such a way that the spokes extend all the way out to the rim, so they make the wheels look bigger than they actually are, but being 19s, they are lighter than if they were 20s, which means you have less unsprung mass than on the previous generation car with its 20s, and that does matter to the handling. Also, you've got widened wheel arches here, and this air vent, once again, which helps smooth airflow down the side of the car, and you've got these side skirts which extend all the way here and have this spat effect there as well, and there's no fake carbon fibre like on the FK8 model. Once again, this car is being more grown up. I'll tell you what's grown as well, the rear wheel arches. These extend out compared to the standard Civic. Yeah, it's all nicely blended in. They haven't just like added on some blistered wheel arches. Looks really good. Now at the back, you have a deeper, more aggressive bumper with a diffuser, which apparently combines with this new spoiler to give you some real downforce. And they've attached the spoiler in such a way with these braces, which are angled so that they reduce drag. So you get more downforce and minimal drag, apparently. Once again, you've got your red Honda badge at the back, Type R. And like the old FK8, you have 3 exhaust pipes, though on this one, the big exhaust pipe is in the middle, and then there's 2 smaller ones on the outside, and they are real. There's no fakery there. Though there is some fakery here. Look, just this bit. That is not an air vent, it's just for show. Still, overall, this really does look like a more mature car. I'd rather have this on my drive than the old one, which, you know, looks a little bit embarrassing. However, while this car's looks has grown up, so too has its price. It starts from just under £47,000. That's a lot of money. There are a lot of upgrades on the inside of this Type R version of the Civic over the standard car. So you get new digital dials with bespoke gauges for the Type R. Oh, look at that. And you have some LED shift lights. Plus, you have the steering wheel trimmed in this fake suede with red stitching, and you have the red Honda logo as well. You've got a plus R button for the drive mode selector. Oh yeah. And then here, you actually have this red ambient lighting here in the door. On the dash, you have the Type R logo with your car's build number. And then, as you move down here, the Type R teardrop brushed aluminium gear knob, which is lovely to hold unless it's freezing like today, and then it's a bit cold. You also have fake suede on the gear gaiter, once again with red stitching. You have red seat belts, you've got red carpets and red floor mats, you have metal pedals, you've got this metallic trim here on the center console, you've got more fake suede here on the armrest, once again with red stitching. But the best bit of all, the Type R red sport seats. These seats are lovely. They're the best in any Type R to date. They are some of my favorite seats I've ever sat in my life. They are wonderful. Often in the back of many hot hatches, the sportiness is just a token effort, but it really does extend from the front all the way into the rear here. For instance, you've still got all the red carpets and the red mats. You also have sporty feeling contoured seats with red stitching and that fake suede feel to it. You've also got fake suede here on the armrests, and once again, red stitching, the lovely red seat belts, plus a Type R logo there on the backs of the front seats. You did feel part of it. And just like a normal Civic, knee room's good and it's generally quite practical, though headroom for some people might be a little bit tight because of the sloping roof line. So really, if you're going to carry taller rear passengers, you might be better off with a Volkswagen Golf R. And to see my full in-depth video review of that car, click on the pop-out banner up there for the link in the description below. How will that car's 0 to 60 time compare to this one's? One last thing to check. Need to find out whether the sportiness even extends to the boot. It does. Who knew? Look, it says Type R on the boot liner. I like that. It's quite a nice little touch in it. In terms of the capacity, 410 litres. This is a practical performance car. Anyway, that brings us on to 5 annoying things about the new Honda Civic Type R. You normally expect sporty cars to get an upgrade of fog lights, but it's the other way round. With the Honda Civic Type R, you see this is the standard Civic and it has fog lights, whereas Type R doesn't. There is a reason for it though, it's because it has these breathers for the brakes to help cool them. It's a shame though that it misses the fog lights. These sport seats may look red hot, but they don't have any heating. Yet you get heated seats on the normal Civic, just not this top of the range car. This new Type R is £12,000 more than the FK8. That started at £35,000, this one's like 47. It's not £12,000 better. In fact, that difference, that £12,000, is not much less than the actual starting price of the original EP3. That cost from 16 grand when that was released back in the noughties. It's too expensive! One of the great things about hot hatches is that they're as practical as normal cars, but they give you performance. Though for some reason, Honda's decided to remove the third seat belt in the back, so you can only have 2 people back here. But they've made up for that by giving you these cup holders. Great. Being a performance car, obviously, it's got a fabulous exhaust note. So go on, let's experience it. Go on, rev it. Sorry, I can't hear that, rev it. No, I still can't hear anything. Can you rev it? No, not getting that at all. Yeah, it's got a soft limiter as well to make matters worse. Still, when you're driving it, they do pipe fake noises into the cabin, which do help add to the experience, I guess. And that brings me on to 5 cool things about the new Honda Civic Type R. Unlike with the previous Type R, you actually have an individual driving mode. Very, very handy because you can set it up just as you want it. My preference is to have everything maximum attack apart from the suspension, which I put in the softest setting, which you need in the UK. In the old Civic Type R, the rear wing really blocked your view in the rear view mirror. However, the way they've designed the new wing is that it sits higher, so you don't see it at all in the rear view mirror unless you look really low like that, and then you can see it just at the very top near the roofline. The sporty aluminium pedals are positioned just right, so it's easy to heel and tow, though if you don't want to do that yourself, there is a rev matching function, which thankfully you can turn off. The new Honda Civic Type R is the fastest front-wheel drive car in the world round round Suzuka. That's Honda's test track. I'm not going to mention that specific toll road in the Eiffel Mountains in Germany for fear of being kicked again. I'm glad you timed it round Suzuka, Honda. I didn't have to say the Nürburgring. The Civic Type R has something called Log R. And what it is a various telemetry system which can do things like score you when you're out on track, and it will mark you based on how good your acceleration is, your braking is, your turning is, and your lateral G. And as well as that, you've got a data logging system, so it will log whatever performance you've had and times you've had around various tracks, so you could see how quick you were around the Nürburgring. I just want to see what this car is like on the motorway. So first thing I'm going to do is see what it's like accelerating from 40 up to 70 in a 4th gear roll on. So get to 40. Ever so slight delay, but then it's on boost pretty much immediately. Much better than the old car, and then 70 comes up like that. That is impressive. This engine definitely feels a little bit more responsive than in the FK8. However, just like the FK8, there's still quite a lot of road noise when you're cruising along at speed. Shame really, because other than that, it's quite comfortable to travel in. These seats are just comfy over long distances, as well as being great at holding in place when you're hooning around corners. One thing I am impressed with is the economy. I've driven this thing like a nutcase, and it's returned 25.6 miles to the gallon. I reckon if you're just cruising on the motorway, just steady in 6 at 70, it'll do easily over 30, maybe 35. No props, which is insane considering how much fun this car is and how much performance it has. Now, one of the things about the Type R is that when you had it in comfort mode, you could live with it every day. It wasn't too firm. Quite frankly, in any other setting, the suspension is just a little bit too firm. I think it's firmer than the previous generation car, but it's soft enough in the right setting that if you're driving around town going over speed humps, it's easily livable. And as with the old cars, there's just a nice feel to everything, all the controls. I mean, I love an Alcantara steering wheel and the metal gear shift that even when you're just driving along at slow speed, you can gain pleasure out of just the feel that you get from the car. And on the outside, you don't look like such a hooligan as you're driving it around, just pottering around your neighbourhood. Yeah, actually the way it drives is even more insane. I think they've got it the right way round. I mean, what is not to like? Oh yeah, I remember. The price. So then, what's my final verdict on the new Honda Civic Type R? Should you avoid it? Should you consider it? Should you shortlist it? Or should you just go right ahead and buy it? Of course you should just go right ahead and buy it. I don't need to explain why. You've watched the video. You know it's awesome. I think it's awesome. Yes, it is more expensive than the old car, but it looks a lot more expensive and I'd much rather own it. So there. Anyway, do you agree with my verdict? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like it. It really helps us out. Also, if you want to watch some more videos, click on those windows there. And if you click on that box there, you can get a car way to sell your car the easy way. Thanks for watching.